Hi everyone, this is a Paintover video where I will give feedback on some of my students' homework and also on a few entries from my Draw This in Your Style art challenge on Instagram. I will be walking you through the changes I made and explaining why behind each one, so you can apply these tips to your own work too. Let's start with a homework piece from my latest membership tutorial. It's a 2-hour video where I demonstrated how to draw 5 animal portraits. There is one student finished the homework super fast and did such a great job. So let's first take a look at her homework. Your cat drawing looks great and the dog sketch is also solid. Just a small tip on the inking. Be mindful of how your lines connect. You want to aim for smoother, more natural transition so the line work feels more polished. Your pig drawing is very nice, well done. But the last 2 portraits had a few more issues. For the sheep, the main problem is the face shape. It's a bit too long and longer faces tend to look less cute. So I widened the face by adding more fluffy wool, which helps make the face rounder and cuter. Also, the eyes were too close together, which can make the expression feel a bit awkward. So I spaced them out slightly and adjusted the shape for better balance. As for the bear, the issue was roundness. The head shape, especially the forehead, could be more curved and soft. Once that was adjusted, the whole head looked much nicer. Also, the eyes were also a bit large and the facial features were too spread out. I brought the nose and mouth up a bit so the features felt more centered, which gives the bear a cuter expression. You can take a look at the Paintovers and study the changes a little bit. You will see how small adjustments can really improve cuteness and structure. Overall, amazing homework. I'm very impressed. Now let's move on to entries submitted to my Draw This in Your Style challenge. Let's take a look at this entry. Right away, I think the color choices are quite harmonious, and overall this piece has a nice unified feeling. Now let's go over a few areas that could be improved. The main issue lies in the character's structure. Even in a stylized or chibi style, it's still important to build the figure with a clear sense of volume and proportion. In this drawing, the head feels a little too flat, almost like it's drawn on a 2D surface. But remember, the head is shaped more like a sphere, and the facial feature needs to wrap around the curved form to make it feel more 3-dimensional. Another thing to watch out for is the spacing between the head and the body. Right now, the neck is either missing or too short, which makes the head feel like it's sitting directly on the shoulder. That creates a slightly stiff and uncomfortable pose. My suggestion is that if you're not sure how to improve this, I recommend practicing with simple figure templates like this. They break the body down into basic shapes and help you better understand the proportion and flow of a pose. Practicing with these kind of guides will really help make your characters feel more balanced and natural. Let's move on to the next student's submission. This piece was done using traditional media, and I always love seeing that. For this one, I actually didn't change too much because I think you did already a great job. My main suggestion is about, again, the body structure. Sometimes when drawing human figures, it's really important to double check that all the parts of the body connect in a believable way. In your drawing, one area that stood out was the arm on the left side on the screen, the girl's right arm. Specifically, the arm on this side looks too short. It's hard to see how it connects naturally to the shoulder and neck area. So what I adjusted were mostly around the shoulder and upper arm area. After the fix, the overall body proportion feels much more balanced and the pose looks more relaxed and natural. Alright, let's take a look at the next submission. I really like this one and I think your personal style is really strong already and it really stands out. The only suggestion I have is about the facial structure, especially the placement of the facial features. When I did the Paintover, the first thing I added was a center guideline. It's a vertical axis that goes through the middle of the face, roughly from the brow down through the nose. This line helps define the direction the face is turned, and it's really important because our facial features, like especially the eyes, are generally symmetrical across these axes. So I adjusted the position of the eyes slightly to better match the tilt and direction of the head. Feel free to study the before and after to see the difference and get a sense of why this kind of alignment matters. Now let's take a look at this piece. Again, I also like your color choices. I think the challenges that you are facing probably is also with body and head structure, especially when it comes to placing facial features on a 3D form. A common struggle for beginners is understanding how to draw the face as if it sits on a sphere. Our heads aren't a flat surface, they are round, and our feature needs to follow that sphere. When I did the paint over, I started by analyzing the body and head structure first, before making any adjustments. Once that foundation was in place, I made changes to better reflect that 3D form. One thing that stood out was the placement of the ears. In your drawings, the ears were way too high up from the angle you've drawn, which feels like it's slightly upward looking or a low angle view. The ears should actually appear lower than the eyes. That's what gives the viewer the feeling that the character is being seen from below. To better understand this concept, I recommend practicing with guides like these. These kind of head angle studies help you figure out how to place the features correctly depending on the perspective. They show you how the center line curves around the face, how the eyes wrap with the head's shape, and how the ears shift depending on the tilt. So my suggestion is don't rush into coloring. Focus first on getting the structure solid, practice drawing the features on a spherical head, and work on placing them correctly from different angles. Once you master that, your drawing will immediately feel more solid and believable. Alright, the next two entries are from the same person. I like that you have a very strong personal style, but in today's video, I think I will focus on the first piece that you submitted. One thing I notice is that you tend to use a lot of curves, especially in the legs. That can work well in dynamic poses, like when a character is pushing or lifting something. But in this case, the character is just standing, so the curved legs feels a bit off. So I added some straighter lines when I did the paint over. I think that helped the pose feel more grounded. In my paint over, just like other entries, I started by analyzing the body form, then adjusted your drawing based on that. I do believe most of the problems come from the line art stage, not the colors. So my main advice is that try to focus on clean, solid structure in your sketch before moving on to coloring. That said, I really admire that you submitted two pieces and are exploring different art styles. Keep experimenting and pushing your art forward. Let's take a look at the next submission. My main suggestion is about proportions. The legs look a bit too long compared to the body, and the arms feel a little too short, so I made some small adjustments to balance that out. Also, in terms of details, like the ice cream, you don't always need to add every little details. Sometimes a more stylized approach works better, and that will keep the focus on the character. Overall, it's a very solid piece. Just keep an eye on proportions, then you will be on the right track. Alright, next up is this lovely submission. I really like the pose you created. It makes the character look so happy enjoying her ice cream. The gesture feels very lively and full of personality. That said, I think you moved into coloring a bit too early. Like a few of the previous entries, the main thing to work on is this body structure. Especially in the art stage, it's important to get the pose and proportions right before adding color. So when I analyzed the figure, I noticed the upper body should be turning more towards like the ice cream side. The version you drew, the torso and the clothing don't fully match with the direction of the pose. Also, the arms felt slightly off in length, so I adjusted them to feel more natural. These are all the things that can be improved with more figure sketching and line work practice. the more you draw, the easier it gets. You're definitely on the right track. Just keep building that foundation and great things will follow. Alright, that's it for the Paintover video. In general, I think I saw a lot of structure issues in the entries, which gave me the idea to create a new series of figure drawing training for my level 7 tutorials inside of my drawing membership. And if you're just starting out, the early levels are perfect for building strong fundamentals, from reference to creative sketch to colors. You can find all the links in the video description. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.